begin.
Welcome. I am Brother Max. It is October 15th, 2025. You know what that means? It is nearly, basically, might as well just say it, halfway through the month of October. It is day 15 of the 31 Days of Fright horror movie project, and today's movie is still touched. Shocking, I know. But the question I am posing for today is, how good of a villain is Howard Howe, who really sets his whole movie in motion? The real star of the movie. Played by Michael Parks. But before I really dive deep into this, and where does he fall in the pantheon of horror villains? So that's another question I'm going to kind of dive into as well. But before I really answer all those questions and then some, please click subscribe, hit the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, and share. And do the same for these following people, because they are just fantastic people and they are keeping the spooky season alive. You got the 13th Wolfman, you got Professor Macabre, you got No More Monsters Echo, you got Double Shot J, Nanette, who else you got? Double Shot J. You got some people who are just doing live streams. You got Hobbs and Mr. Bones and Laymonia. Who else you got? And then you just got people who are just keeping the spooky season alive in just their own way. You know, I haven't really seen any videos from these people, but my YouTube algorithm has been a little off lately. I'm getting recommended my own videos as of late. So we got Mayanne and a slew of others. Just please go give them some much needed love. Now, as the two previous nights, I've also highlighted a drink from the Thriller pack from the Angry Orchard, and today is the Sinful Apple. I'm kind of curious as to how this will taste, because I have put this off to the side because this is just a crisp apple, and that was really, really good. And I bet this has a little bit more of a cinnamon flavor, which I'm not opposed to. I like cinnamon flavored things. So let's just try this out and see how it goes before I dive into today's topic. I think that's exactly the same. Still really good, but this is definitely at the bottom just because I've already had it before. There's a little bit of a lingering there but still, that's really, really good. And all these drinks have been really smooth. So as you can tell, Blood Orange is going to be the last one on the docket. But wow, this is actually really, really good. Yeah, that's really good. But anyways, the questions I had posed at the beginning of the video is, how good of a villain is Howard Howe, and where does he fall in the pantheon of horror villains? I think, obviously, we have to kind of put him in the category of the more grounded, realistic villains, okay? You can't put him up with next to Freddy and Jason and Michael and all and such, because they are like of the supernatural element. So we can't, and even like Art the Clown, we can't put him nowhere near that that particular villain. but I think he fits really well within like the more realistic stuff. You got like Jigsaw. I know the traps can be very convoluted, but like especially that first movie. If we're just basing him on the first Jigsaw movie, maybe 1 and 2, very plausible. Okay, like in terms of like how smart this man is. Okay, and like I would even go up against like the Hunting Club of the Hostel movies. Like those are some like serious villains, like kidnapping people and selling them to be auctioned off to be killed in various ways, whatever method that the buyer deems worthy of them to do. And so that's what I was thinking, is like, where does he kind of fall into this kind of stuff? Is because it's very interesting, because if you watch Tusk, I've talked about this scene before, but in various ways. But I'm really talking about now, like he really uses his acting to kind of put people's to disarm them, because I've talked about this particular subject as well. But I really wanted to kind of like see, compared to other people, kind of use it in more of a comparison mode aspect, because he disarms the detective by using a method of like disguising his voice, kind of making the other person seem that he has a mental disability and stuff like that, and whatnot. But when you really see him, it's like, holy crap, he's calm, cool, collective. Yes, he gets a little eccentric here and there, but like you can clearly tell he's still in control of the situation. He never really loses control of the situation, at least that we have seen at the movie, because he's obviously done this before, because there are legit skeletons of another person who is being transformed into a walrus in the little swimming pool area, and he obviously has kidnapped several and killed several people to make the patchwork of this walrus outfit, the suit, because it's like you can see ears and like pieces of nose and eyes and stuff like that, just like because he patches them square by square, and that right there shows you how like methodical and how he's willing to take the time to build this suit until he's ready to try to give the person a chance to survive and fight back and whatnot. So we've only seen the one other failed attempt at the bottom of the pool, but I would probably guess that he's done this quite a few times, at least 3 or 4 more times, because he's definitely old, and that's what makes him also a really great villain, because that's another way of people to kind of disarm him, because he's like when Wallace first meets him, he's in a wheelchair, and he immediately disarms him, and like, okay, it's just an old man in a wheelchair, and the way he tells his stories, I talked about this on the live stream, like he knows how to work Wallace's his curiosity. That's what I'm trying to say, because Wallace is constantly walking around the room and telling him stories, and Wallace is able to kind of like snap back with what he's like, the quotes he's saying, and he's like, and like Howard Howe's like, he's really loving that idea. So, he's that smart, and I think that's what makes Howard Howe a really smart villain, because he's well, you can definitely tell he's well educated, because he's pulling these Shakespeare and Hemingway quotes out of nowhere. I don't know Shakespeare, but like something else. I can't remember the other like author he mentions. But he's using these quotes in such a way, and he's kind of gauging Wallace. I think that's how I'm seeing it, and that he's able to kidnap this person like Wallace. Like, I know Wallace is kind of dumb in that kind of moment, because he's just kind of wandering around the room doing this and doing that, but you can definitely tell Howard Howe got his attention right away from like offering him tea and stuff like that, and just the way he kind of just worked, like he just knows how to like play off the person. And then you can tell when they're kind of have this like one-on-one moment where they're kind of sitting in the little, like I can't the actual name for it. It's like the habitat for the walrus aquarium kind of area. I can't remember the actual name for it, but they're just kind of talking, and that's where he explains some more stuff, and it's just like he knows exactly what he's doing, and he does it, and he has the means and the resources to do it. And so like when you look at the house that Howard Howe lives in, it's beautiful. It has an iron gate, it's very similar to like the very like Arkham gate, it's like that kind of archway and everything. It's very blocked off, it's secluded and everything, but where does he kind of fall within the pantheon of villains? Like, obviously he's not going to be near the top, but the acting of Michael Parks and if you really truly just like, yes, the movie's kind of silly, okay, I know that, and it's a little bit more, has some comedic elements, but like if you really think about it, Howard Howe is a great villain. He really, really is. Like, he just knows how to get what he wants, and that's what he's doing. Because, but where does he fall? Like, definitely he's not as good as, say, like the more grounded ones like Hannibal Lecter, or like I mentioned the Hunting Club from the Hostel movies, because those two are like, I think those are high up there, because like how terrifying that is, like to go, like, that's go visit another country and never be seen again. So, but like, I think Howard Howe definitely is up there, but not up there, if you know what I mean. And that's kind of where I'm not quite sure where he would fit between villains in horror classics, because like right now the Ed Gein story on Netflix, he's a real live person, and he's very grounded in real life, and he's inspired Psycho, like Norman Bates. Like, where does he like Norman Bates is way up on the list as well, because like he is just that demented, and like he's just out of his mind, but he's still willing to function really, really well. I know there's moments where the veil slips towards the end of the movie, but like he's able to. How many people has he killed? You know, who has pulled into the Bates Motel, and who has fallen victim to him. But I think exactly kind of how. Actually, you know what? That's kind of about the same. You know, I think Norman Bates is high up on the list, but so is Howard Howe, at least in my opinion, because if you really think about it, like he goes through the act of kidnapping people, drugging them, taking their skin off the bone, polishing the bone to make the tusk. He takes the time to build this stuff, and whatnot. Where, like, you know, like Norman Bates, he's kind of like, he runs a hotel. He knows how to kind of like make the people disappear and whatnot, and because I think he dumps the cars in water and whatnot. I know I keep using that phrase, but I'm sorry. But I think that those two are pretty close on the list. I'm just trying to think of people who would be near him. I'm not doing any kind of ranking, but it's like, where would he kind of fall on the list? And that's where kind of Leatherface, he's like that first one. I'm just counting the first movie. He's like, that's terrifying. You know, like you're just going to, and you stop at a random house and you end up on a meat hook. You know, like, which it can happen, and I'm probably sure it has happened. Oh yeah, like, because Leatherface is heavily based on Ed Gein, you know, but like, that's what's awesome about Howard Howe, is because if you really, really, really boil him down, he is like scary. And like, I keep mentioning that table scene between Wallace and Howard Howe. The moment he will let you know when he's ready to reveal his true self, and when he gets up out of the wheelchair, and that's exactly the moment when you know when Wallace has like messed up. Like, he took him being a kind of feeble old man in the Navy, telling Ernest Hemingway stories, and now he's a podcaster that got kidnapped, and now he's being turned into a walrus, you know, because this man has guilt because he killed a walrus who helped him survive a sinking ship. You know, it's like, it's like, holy crap. And so yeah, that's kind of where I want to leave. Like, where would you put Howard Howe on the pantheon of horror villains? I know he may not be high in some others. He's definitely kind of high in mine, but like, where would you rank him? So that's really all I gotta say. I enjoyed this topic. I've been planning these things for like months, and this is one of the funds I really wanted. One of the topics I really was looking forward to talking about. So now I'm going to take one more sip of this. So good. This may be my new favorite drink, honestly. It's very smooth, but anyway, it has to be really cold, really, really cold. But I want to end today's videos by saying, please stay spooky, be safe this Halloween, and thank you.